Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Listen up. WynnBET is now live in all these states, and the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas has finally landed in online sports betting and casino play. From boosted parlays to live in-game offs on every major sport, WynnBET gives you the tools to win. Sign up today for your risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning.
You are listening to Dove Valley Deep Divers with Erick Trickel
and Lance Sanderson.
Shotgun for Tim Tebow. Short motion is Eddie Royal. Tim play fakes in the pocket, sets, throws, pass caught. Damaris Thomas out over the 45 midfield. Here we go. 40, 35, foot race, 20, 15, 10. Touchdown! Denver is over! It's over in Denver!
Welcome into an episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Sanderson, and joining me, as per usual, is my good friend and colleague. He is Mile High Huddle senior NFL draft analyst and full-time staff article content creator for milehighhuddle.com. The one and only Erick Trickel. Now, folks, before we get into it, obviously, Broncos country and really the world has been kind of shocked and got blasted in the face by the news last night. And in case you've been under a rock or haven't been able to follow the news cycle here lately, Broncos legend, arguably the best wide receiver in franchise history, Demaryius Thomas, passed away last night. There's multiple reports saying so. There's a lot of different stories. Not exactly sure the cause of death on that. We won't get into that situation or anything like that. Very, very somber day, somber past 24 hours in Broncos country. And Erick, I know for me, Demaryius Thomas is one of my top 5 Broncos players of all time. I know he means a lot to you as well. Before we get into everything, I just want your thoughts. What's your instantaneous reaction? I mean, obviously, sadness is the biggest thing, but what's your instantaneous reaction to hearing the news of Demaryius Thomas passing?
Well, I mean, it was rough. So DT, he meant a lot to a lot of people who never even got a chance to meet him, like myself, and there were things that happened in my childhood that were quite similar to his, and seeing him be able to smile. And I saw somebody put it on Twitter that every day he woke up and he chose kindness. With when you know what happened to him growing up, that would have been so easy for him to go the other way. And watching him and be what he became hit home with me, and happening now. I mean, he was just about to turn 34 on Christmas Day, and it's, as somebody who meant a lot to me in my life, I mean, he was a guy who he was one of the players that really pushed me and ignited that desire and that love I have of scouting the draft. And getting me deep diving into it and everything, and leading to where I am today. And it was hard because a couple years ago on Christmas Day, I lost my grandma, and it was just a thing of losing somebody you care about so close to the holidays is hard. And so I immediately started thinking about his family and what they're going through. And it's just a hard moment. It's a hard moment for thousands of people across the country because, again, DT just meant so much to so many people.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and Brian jumping in here with a generous super chat, and it was in 2011 was the first year of my life I saw our Broncos make the playoffs. During that first play of overtime, I had tears in my eyes, and I have tears in my eyes now. Rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. Thank you for everything. And guys, I want to just throw this up here really fast, Scott. Tonight, this is a show about remembrance. It's a show about celebrating the life of, one of the Broncos' top probably 10 best players in franchise history. And we want your guys' input as much as possible. We want as many stories as you guys possibly can. Any memories you have, talking your most favorite plays about Demaryius Thomas, anything that you want to include into the show, please, guys. Scott's behind the scenes. He's going to be scouring the comment section. Use hashtag RIP88, please, at the top of your comments. We will get to as many of those comments as we can.
Listen up, Broncos country. TickPick should be your first choice to buy football tickets because they save fans money by never charging any service fees ever. TickPick is the exclusive ticketing partner for the Huddle Up podcast and the Blue Wire Network.
Denver Broncos football is finally back, and there's no need to exhaust yourself searching all over the internet to find Broncos tickets anymore, because TickPick, that's TickPick, is the original no-fee ticket site and the only one you'll ever need as your go-to for all NFL tickets. TickPick got rid of all those awful service fees that the other ticket sites charge, which lets them guarantee the best prices on all of their NFL tickets. Don't believe it? If you can find better prices for the same seats on another ticket site, TickPick will give you 110% of the difference in the purchase price.
That's right, guys. When we were searching for tickets for the MHH meet and greet for week 3 at home, Broncos versus Jets, TickPick had us locked down. So visit tickpick.com/huddle today and use the promo code HUDDLE to save $10 on your first order of Broncos tickets.
David Wilder jumping in here. Such a sad evening for Broncos country. Rest in peace to DT88. And yes, absolutely. Man, I hate doing this. Sebastian throwing some stars, nothing to say, just showing some love. And we appreciate you there, Sebastian, as well. Yeah, guys, again, hashtag RIP88. Get yourselves into the conversation. Now, Erick, a big part of remembering and celebrating the life and the career of Demaryius Thomas goes to, your top favorite moments. I got 5 of them here that I wrote down and kind of did a little homework on everything. And I'm going to start it off with one that's not necessarily the happiest thing in the world. Bronco fan, I'll get to you in a second. It's not necessarily the happiest thing in the world. We have Super Bowl 48. And I know, obviously, the Broncos got blown out 43-8 by the Seattle Seahawks in that game. But Demaryius Thomas was probably the only Broncos player that actually showed up to play in that football game. He actually set the Super Bowl record with 13 receptions after getting blasted by Cam Chancellor in the first quarter on their second drive. DT had 13 catches for 118 yards in the Broncos' lone score of the game. And like I said, his effort that night, even despite being blown out of the water by the Seahawks from the opening snap, literally, that's something that you could always guarantee with Demaryius Thomas, was the fact that he was going to give 100% effort. So, yeah, Erick, what do you think about Super Bowl 48?
You're right. he was one of the few Broncos who stepped in and didn't give up. He kept playing from start to finish, giving it his all, trying to provide some kind of spark to help the team come back, but it just wasn't in the cards. Fortunately, Denver was able to go and get a Super Bowl with him just a few years later, which was great to see. One of my favorite moments for him was just one play that a lot of people just kind of always shrug off a little bit, and it was a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't remember all the details for it, but it was just this amazing catch he had in the back of the end zone. Watching it live, he got up so high to get it at the highest point, brought it down, kept his feet in bounds, scored the touchdown. I believe the Broncos went on to win that game pretty easily. But that play, it just showed just how great of a player he actually was. And we always hear about the drops that he had, but he made some huge catches when it really mattered, and that was one of them. And that play just lives on in my memory and always will. It was just one of those plays that my jaw hit the floor. I was just amazed that he was able to go up and get that. Not many receivers in history have been able to. I'd say probably on a list, maybe 10 others throughout all of the NFL history. And I doubt we'll see many more be able to do that over the next however long.
Yeah. Bernard Diocampo jumping in here with the hashtag RIP88. His favorite memory of Demaryius Thomas was the record touchdown catch from Peyton Manning. I actually have that play and another play with Peyton Manning. This was October 19th of 2014. I don't remember what week it was. It was like week 6 or something like that. He catches Peyton Manning's 509th touchdown pass, setting the NFL record for the most passing touchdowns in a career for Peyton Manning. And it also started off a game of monkey in the middle with Julius Thomas and I think it was Wes Welker at the time that was there. So 2014, yeah. Also, I think Emmanuel Sanders was in that. That was great, and Peyton was just so mad, but DT was out there smiling and doing the things that, that he always did. And just being a leader in a way that, nobody really thinks about, the quiet guy that just goes to work and busts his ass and works as hard as anybody else. And, that to me is a huge memory to me.
Yeah. And this is a memory of his that is, I mean, it's not a favorite play or anything. It was just anytime he got up and spoke to the press.
Yeah.
Always, win or loss, always had a huge smile on his face. He just didn't let anything bring him down. He was always very positive and optimistic. And seeing all these players that are coming out and talking about it now, and how refreshing that was, how he always tried to see the bright side and always tried to keep people's spirits high. And it's just hearing that about him, he's one of those guys that you just wanted to be around. And everybody talks about the pull that Peyton Manning had, and there's no doubt that he did, but I think there got to be a point where DT was pulling in people as well, just because of his attitude. I mean, Julian Edelman was with him for a couple weeks, and he was so positive. And players, their kids, like, he just was so cheerful, so nice, so kind to anyone and everyone. He did so much for the city of Denver, for people all over the place. And I mean, I know we're talking about on the field, but off the field too, the memories of what he did are some of my favorite things, because so many players, once they make it to the big leagues, like, some of them still, I mean, we still hear about all the ones to do, but there are a lot of players that's just kind of shrugs off everybody else. They get this ego about him, and you would never be able to guess that there was an ego, or that he was a football player or anything like that, just because he didn't act that way off the field.
Yeah, there was a great series of tweets, a couple of videos that Nikki Jabala was formerly with I believe it was the Denver Post is where she was at. But she tweeted out a bunch of videos about DT playing with a bunch of kids at a boys and girls club or a football camp or something like that, where he's playing, hopscotch with them and rock, paper, scissors and everything. It's great. Go check that out. Can I get that one from Travis back, Scott, please? Really fast. He jumps inside. I know Demaryius Thomas and Calvin Johnson both attended Georgia Tech. Since Calvin was deemed as Megatron, it was only fitting that DT was known as Optimus Prime. Love you, DT. Thank you. Fly high, mile high salute. My favorite is the wild card game against Pittsburgh, and that's the golden standard right there, man. I mean, Tim Tebow to DT ball game, man. I want to pull the Dave Logan audio from that. I wanted to play that for everybody live before we got started today. But that's the one of the biggest plays in Broncos history. Like, quite honestly, top 5 at least. To the walk-off touchdown to kill the Steelers, who were going to come in with the number 1 passing defense in the NFL, and it's Tim Tebow who hasn't thrown the ball at all, and DT had a huge game. Tebow threw for over 300 yards, a long touchdown to end it. I mean, it's just great. David jumping in here. DT was a great player, but an even more wonderful person. Hashtag RIP88. And yes, and I listened to the radio a lot, 104.3 The Fan today. I listened to 850 KOA today as well, and listened to a bunch of the anecdotal stories and stuff like that. People bringing in, and not very many of them were, stories about him on the field. Obviously, you've got all the big plays that he was able to create on himself. He's one of the most talented wide receivers I think I've ever seen in my life. In fact, he was actually the very first player that I ever truly scouted and wrote a scouting report on. It was Demaryius Thomas. So got a really special place in my heart. And like that, without his impact there, I wouldn't be where I'm sitting right now. You guys wouldn't be listening to me talking. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, because I owe my whole career as a sports broadcaster and a content creator to Demaryius Thomas. Like, this guy is literally the guy for me. It hurts.
And going back to talk about that Pittsburgh game real quick, is you have to wonder, if that play didn't happen, if the Broncos lost that game, does Peyton Manning still come?
Man,
there's been a lot of rumored reports going about that them winning that playoff game was a big reason why Manning ended up choosing them. And if that doesn't happen, can't say for sure, obviously, not trying to rewrite history here, but that play, it sent a message that this is a great team. There was so much talent here. Quarterback needed to be figured out. It was the right time. Just so much about that play. I remember I was so mad And when that play happened, I wasn't even watching the game. Like, I was done. I was so angry about what was going on at that point. And I'm sitting in my room extremely mad. I had broken a tin container that had poker chips in it. I was just angry about a game. And I hear my mom start yelling. And at first I thought it was angry. So I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I hear her, can tell that it's cheering. And I came running out of my room. I fell. I actually cut my cheek because I landed on something just to watch the final few seconds of it. And immediately watching the replay of it over and over. Like, that play, I already talked about how watching him at Georgia Tech, which, by the way, back in 2010 was extremely hard to find tape of that.
It was.
And at the time, like, I ended up having to go and record a couple games and watching that. And but I remember just it continued to light this fire that I had to, as you said, it helped you get to here where you are as a content creator. Well, same thing here.
Yeah. I remember, Brian jumping in here really fast. I want to get back to that. Brian jumping in here, that record-setting day against Arizona in 2014, and that was actually another one of mine. He was always a threat to take it to the house and was able to make the tough catches. That was probably one of the greatest games from a wide receiver I've ever seen. He actually had a 77-yard touchdown called back in that game as well on quite honestly, it was a dirty play by Julius Thomas cutting down Calais Campbell the way he did. But in that game, he set the single game record for receiving yards on 8 catches for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns against Arizona 2014, October 7th. So shortly before, it was actually 2 weeks before he caught the record-breaking touchdown pass for Peyton Manning. But yeah, like to get back to DT and what he was like, I was just always so mesmerized by a guy his size, and going back to, Georgia Tech days, Calvin Johnson was, 6'4", 230. DT was 6'3", 225. Like, they both had ridiculous athleticism. They were like prototypical, like this, but Megatron versus Optimus Prime. Like, they really were that kind of conversation. And I remember I was a senior in high school trying to scout him for the first time. I was trying to get into scouting for the first time. There was a commenter on the ESPN message boards, and I had found a highlight reel of DT when he was at Georgia Tech, and I was watching that. I'm like, this guy's going to be legit. You guys don't understand what we're necessarily watching. And if you remember at the time, like Des Bryant was the number 1 wide receiver widely considered in the NFL draft that year. But I was constantly pounding the table. I want Demaryius Thomas. This guy is going to be legit. This was in January. He broke his foot training for the combine, couldn't go to that. Everyone's like, he's not going to be a first-round pick. You don't know what you're talking about. I was like, no, he's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be better than Des Bryant ever thought of being. And I got called all kinds of crazy names and stuff like that, like saying you need to just delete your account. You don't know what you're talking about. And look at where we're at. Like, DT is arguably the biggest draft hit I've ever had in my life. And again, because of him, I'm where I'm at now. Travis Weber jumping in here. DT was humble and thankful coming up from his upbringing. Tim Tebow said it the best with his interview with Stephen A. Smith earlier today. He was remembered more as the person he was, not the football player. He always made everyone happy with his smile and his humanity. His story is just incredibly wild. There's a great article that he wrote for the Players Tribune a few seasons ago highlighting the details of that. It's amazing to see how a guy with that kind of upbringing literally rose from the ashes, turned into a beautiful phoenix, and became one of the best players in franchise history.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, and going back to moments or plays that were the best games of his career, or the best moments of his career, there's one that stands out. I'm trying to remember exactly what game it was, so just give me a quick second real quick. Let's see here. It was, I believe, after the year they won the Super Bowl. I believe it was the Pittsburgh Steelers game, the playoff game against the Steelers in the 2015-2016 season. Mm-hmm. Because that was the first time his mom got to see him in person.
Yeah.
And he had a quiet day. Like it was a huge moment for him, and his mom got to see him play. Super emotional, and he only had he didn't have 50 yards. I remember that. But Denver won. And I remember after one of the passes, I think it was the first pass he caught, he immediately went to go find his mom and give her the ball. And watching that, I mean, through everything, he loved his mom. He stuck by her. I'm a big old mama's boy and myself. And
Oh yeah,
that, I mean, it made me cry. So that's a moment that definitely stands out for me.
yeah. He did have a quiet day. It was like three catches for like 27 yards or something like that. All he wanted was his mom's love. And that's absolutely right. The article that he wrote in the Players Tribune has a very specific notion about that, saying something to the effect of, is because we're athletes, we're never, supposed to talk about being loved. We all talk about brotherhood, but the biggest thing that you could ever have in a child's life is to show them that you love them. And he always tried to, too, from the stories that I was being told today on the radio from guys like Tyler Columbus, Brandon Stokely, Joel Dreesen as well. They all came on and we're talking about the way that he would walk into the room, and if there was kids there, that was the only people that he wanted to talk to. He was always about kids and making sure that he was going to be a positive influence in their life because of his upbringing. And it was easy for him. At 11 years old, the Georgia police came pounding down his door. They raided his house. They arrested his mom and his grandma. He woke up the next morning and still went to school, instantly became the man of the house, had to raise 3 or 4 brothers and sisters. He woke up early every single day to go pick beans and peas and corn to try to make some extra money so that he could help feed his brothers and sisters. The guy came from the literal worst upbringing you could ever think of, and then fought hard enough to not only become a great football player, a great athlete, but he became a better person. And he fought hard to get his mom out of prison, his mom and his grandma out of prison. President Obama commuted both of their sentences right before he left office. And a lot of that was because of Demaryius Thomas being the guy that he is and fighting for them and fighting to get them out of the situation that they were in. Joe Spaeth jumping in here. One of my favorite DT moments, the Broncos-Ravens grudge match in 2013 in the regular season. Yeah. Season opener, Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Broncos up 42-28, and DT housed another 78-yard bubble screen. That was TD number 7 for Peyton frickin' Manning that day. Such a great start to that season. The guy was an amazing Bronco and an absolute legend. Yeah. I knew it was against the Ravens too. There was one that I specifically grabbed that I wanted to, and this was the birth of that play. It was week 1, actually a year earlier, September 11th, 2012. The smoke screen play, the DT play. Everyone calls it the DT play. We need to get the DT play back in. And that quick hitter, quick screen, quick bubble screen. The very first time we saw it was actually effective was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was, in fact, the second long touchdown that DT had against Pittsburgh in less than a calendar year. And it was also Peyton Manning's 400th touchdown pass. So that's the other one that I was talking about as far as him being in history books with Peyton Manning. How many times did he take that smokescreen play to the house, Eric? It had to have been 10 at least.
Yeah, there were so many of them. And I mean, coming out with that play, like my next play was not just that one, but all the bubble screens that he just managed to the house. And he was great at bubble screens. He was great at making people miss. He had enough power to break through tackles. Like, just one of the reasons why he was just so much fun to watch as a player. And growing as an analyst with him, and watching his play, it was just so much fun, and just adds even more sadness to this tragic loss.
Yeah. Venom Seeker. This is a great story, guys. He says that the TV by accident came on. Tebow had just thrown the ball to DT, and he ran down the sidelines in the wild card game. On that day, even though I didn't know it at the time, I became a Broncos fan. And it was all thanks to Demaryius Thomas. And that hits hard. He touched so many people. Shandy Bracey jumping in here with the rest in peace 88. Just so many historical catches and moments. His highlights are some of the best a Broncos player has produced at wide receiver. Just wow. Is the age of my wife. 33 years old, folks. He turned 34 on Christmas. A couple years older than me. Not to make it about myself. My 31st birthday is on Sunday, by the way, so don't forget that. No, it's you think about the Broncos of the last decade, and DT is obviously at the forefront of that, standing right next to Peyton Manning. He had one of the best 5-game stretches 5-year stretches in NFL history. I mean, you put it up there against T.O., Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison, Jerry Rice. Like we're talking a 5-year stretch from 2012 to 2016 where he averaged, this is his average season, 98 catches per year, 1,374 yards, and 9 touchdowns a season. It's incredible. His 2014 season, 111 catches, 1,609 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Just ridiculous production. And that's why there's so many people that say that he's the best wide receiver in franchise history. I mean, we all know Rod Smith is great, and nothing to take away from my most favorite Broncos player of all time, Rod Smith. But DT had an extra gear, an extra ability that we haven't seen ever.
Yeah, we were talking about this with Chad Jensen before we went live about it. Rod Smith made a career from being such a smart player. I mean, he wasn't the most athletically gifted guy. He was just smart, and he just understood things on a different level that helped him get open and just be reliable and make plays. DT was a special kind of athlete, and he was this explosive athlete that you were able to go and take those bubble screens and have him be a legit threat. He could also take the top off of defense. He could catch those 50-50 balls. Like, it didn't matter. He could just do it all. And part of it is, as we were talking about with Chad, as to why both Lance and I think that he's the best receiver in Broncos history, does have to do with the fact that part of us, we grew up with that. I mean, I was watching Rod Smith, growing up as well, but I didn't, his last year was the year that I really started to fall in love with football, I think would be the way to put it, 2006. So when I actually loved the game is when I was watching DT, and then I became an analyst, which had 8 years ago, I think it is now. I mean, most of that's Thomas's career, right? A good portion of his career right there. So there's probably definitely some of that, but I do think that he is the best receiver in Broncos history. I think that he should be in the Ring of Fame, and definitely, I think, Hall of Fame. And I know that will get a lot of flack from multiple people, but I mean, he's got the numbers, he has the plays, he has everything that you really need for it. The question is will they hold the longevity against him as they have for multiple other players?
I don't disagree with you on that, and I want to jump back into that part of the conversation. I'm seeing a lot of comments here, and Blaze jumping in here. The Broncos should retire number 88. No one else should wear it. Denver Broncos for life. Love DT. Now, I understand where you're coming from. That one might be I get it. DT, again, is one of the best players in franchise history. Retiring numbers is meant for not to say it like this, but players that really transcended Broncos football. DT was one of those players. We're talking top 20 players, but if you start retiring every single jersey that's out there, you wouldn't have enough jerseys to field a football team. And I hate to say that, but it's actually the truth. As far as DT and his franchise career stats, franchise records and stuff like that, these are only Broncos related. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
How many numbers is too much? You want to put a cap on it? How many?
10.
The Broncos have 3.
I know.
I think they could afford to retire 88, and I mean, there's another number out there too that's unofficially retired that they need to make official.
There's 4 numbers that they need to retire that actually needs to happen, and 88 is probably the 4th one. 27, 30, and 84 need to be retired before DT, and I'm sorry about that.
I think 24 than 88, but
24 as well. Yeah.
But the thing is that they have 3 numbers retired for 4 different players because, number 18, the whole situation there was getting Peyton Manning as well. And then some of these other teams, they've got 10 plus guys numbers retired.
Right.
You've got 99 numbers to choose from, and especially with them opening up what you can wear. And worrying about how many, once you hit 10, then start worrying about it. But nah, man, you're good.
And Colin,
I
just
just
to
wanted
answer your question. Yes, there are 3 numbers retired: 7, 44, and 18. Obviously, John Elway, 18 for Tripuka, and obviously the 4 or 5 years that Peyton Manning was in town, and then 44 for Floyd Little, who everyone is widely known as the franchise. Floyd Little was one of the best Broncos players back in the late 60s, early 70s. And if not for him going literally door to door, knocking on people's doors to try to sell season tickets, the Broncos wouldn't be in Denver. Like, that's literally why Floyd Little has as much clout in this organization as he does. May he rest in peace as well. Venom Seeker jumping back in here. By the way, I was only 7 years old when that happened. I'm 17 now. It hurt way more because I grew up with him. Like me, he was shy and quiet. And we both broke out of our shells over time. And Venom, man, that's rough, dude. I like I said, I turned 31 on Sunday. I grew up watching Rod Smith, but I grew up in my football, my analysis career, the scouting career that I have with DT, and it did open up a bunch of different pathways. It opened up me out of a shell that I didn't necessarily know that I was in. But yeah, that's a great story, man. And get more, guys. Hashtag RIP88. Hashtag RIP88. Get as many of these in as we can. We'll go back and read some that we didn't get a chance to. But yeah, I'm still almost at a loss for words about this whole deal. 33 years old, guys. 33 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, as we keep talking about the lives he touched and everything like that, I think one of the best things I've seen today and have been seeing today that I've been constantly just refreshing Twitter for a look is all these players who played with him and their stories. And every single one of them deals with how he was with their kids. Jacob Tammy had a great video out there about his son, Tyler Columbus. He had a great little story about his son who basically Thomas just kept with him after the Super Bowl, kept with him all the way back, rode with him on the parade, everything. And then the connection that he had with Peyton Manning's kids and so many others. Like, he just, there's a guy I know once said that if kids or dogs don't like you, then you're not a good person. And I mean, kids loved him. So, and everybody loved Thomas. I mean, he was just so kind, and he was shy. He was quiet, and then he broke out of his shell. And once he broke out, we got to see how magnificent of a person he really was.
Yeah. Zebulon jumping in here. He asks a question. I'm going to try to give him an answer here. What are the Ring of Fame requirements? I'm certain he meets them all except the waiting period, whatever there may be. They should just honor him as soon as possible. Now, Eric, I'm not sure if you actually knew this. First off, Zeb, to answer Zeb's question, the Ring of Fame, it's a 5-year waiting period after you retire. It's similar to the Hall of Fame. I believe it's a 4-year. You have to be within the franchise of 4 years to be eligible, which is why Peyton Manning was eligible to go into the Ring of Fame in Denver earlier this season. So DT does meet that. He just has to hold out the waiting period. I saw a lot of comments earlier saying they need to honor him immediately. I don't disagree with that. They need to do that as quickly as possible. But Eric, I'm not sure if you actually knew this. When we were doing the Mile High Huddle meetup at the Jets game, DT was supposed to be there. And unfortunately, his health issues made it so that he was not able to travel. So they ended up canceling it. They were supposed to do it was right after. Obviously, he retired this last season. Retired as a Denver Bronco, and the Broncos were going to do a big tribute to him, big video tribute and stuff like that. Imagine the one they're going to put up this Sunday against the Lions is going to be very similar to the one that they had for him back in week 3. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I do believe that he is a Ring of Famer. I'm also with Eric, and we need to dive into this conversation just a little bit more. I don't have the stats pulled up right now, but I do want to get into the Hall of Fame conversation. But Eric, Ring of Fame, obviously, this is an obvious one. He's got to go up as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, they have that requirement, 5 years. But you know what? The franchise can do whatever the heck they want.
Yep,
they
Scott.
can bend the rules. They can break the rules. Like, they can do whatever they want with their Ring of Fame. And I think that they should. I think it should go up. Like, I think they should make the exception for it. I don't know if you really would do it this week because it would be such short notice to get everything else that you need to do. But their next home game, their last home game, whatever, it should happen. It should happen sooner because of everything that was for that he did for Broncos country and all this. I mean, he helped with Cortland Sutton. He helped take him under his wing there for a while.
Yep.
And just so many players. And the thing is that talking about all these players and what they're saying is all these guys who didn't play much with him, like only played a couple of years, Justin Simmons, Garrett Bowles, a few others, and talking about one of the first things that players that they heard from consistently was Thomas. He was always quick to reach out to them, to welcome them. Orlando Franklin had a great story about it, about how he was kind of shy coming in and everything like that, and being quiet and reserved. And Thomas just kind of came up to him and acted like no big deal. And that speaks a lot for young guys coming into the locker room, to rookies coming into the locker room. So it'll be, I mean, not much more to say besides a tough loss, and that he's going to be remembered by everyone for how kind of a person he was.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such, like I said, guys, I'm still kind of at a loss for words. I'm processing everything. Today there was a lot of dust around. My eyes got watery several different times. I'm sure someone was cutting onions as well. Listening to the stories of people, of people just sharing their memories, and it doesn't even, like I said, none of them, not very many of them were about his on the field accomplishments. A lot of them were about the things that he did off the field, and again, playing with kids all the time, the lives he impacted in the locker room, the lives he impacted off the field. There was a great story about this. It was Mark Schlereth earlier this morning. I'll give him the credit for telling the story. His wife, Lisa, went into a Starbucks, and the barista at the Starbucks was saying, it was all super excited. Like, hey, you know who Demaryius Thomas is? He just came in here. I have a jersey in my truck. I carry it around all the time in case I run into him. He signed my jersey. I'm so excited. And like, that's just one of the several different things that he had done over the course of his career, just trying to make people's day better. Like that's something that we should all aspire to be. And his loss is something that I will take with me forever. Like again, without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I really wouldn't. And it's okay to be sad, and Karen jumping in. It's okay to be sad and upset and even show it. It's human. And I appreciate that, Karen. Thank you very much, as I'm starting to get a little bit emotional here. I hope that we can create more Demaryius Thomases in this world, because right now we're not necessarily in a great place, and there needs to be some better human beings on this planet. And Eric, I'm going to let you take it away for a second.
Real quick, I just want to grab Venom Seeker, and says, dude, week 3 was my first live game. I went there for 3 main reasons. I always wanted to go to one, wanted to meet the MHH guys, which I did, and I knew he was going to be honored. I didn't know he was going to be honored. I was just there, and when I got my plane ticket to go for the MHH meet and greet, I didn't know that Thomas was there. I wasn't expecting to go, but man, like I didn't know he was supposed to be honored until Lance just said it. And hearing that he was supposed to and couldn't make it for health issues is such a bummer. But real quick, I just want to ask, is like, we met a lot of people there that day.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Which one were you that we met? I just so I could put a face to it. And
yeah, not to like throw your don't throw first and last name. Give us a first name at least. Tell us your first name, because like we met over 100 people. Spencer jumping in here. I've been tearing up all day, man. This crap hurts. Sorry to have to edit that out, but yeah. It's rough, guys. It's been a rough day for the Broncos. It's been a rough day for a lot of people. I don't necessarily know what to say anymore. I've been so hurt. I've been trying to fight through it, and I thank you guys for kind of going through this with me and allowing me to share some of my personal memories about Demaryius Thomas. And I want to hear more of your guys's. So Travis, jumping in here, I was at work trying not to break down. The Broncos are more than just a team I follow. They connect with me on a personal level with my dad. And again, DT, like I said, is the first player I ever scouted. There's a personal connection with me. I've never actually met him. And I'm so sad that I never got the opportunity to meet Demaryius Thomas in person, because I would probably tell him what he meant to me and to where I am as far as a person now. It's a terrible day.
Yeah. And let me tell you what, I'd just gotten home last night, and I opened up the group chat on Facebook with Lance, Carl, Nick, James, and myself, and I saw them talking about it, and I was like, I didn't read fully, so I'm talking about this rumor, DT. I was like, what are they talking about? Open Twitter, I saw it. I immediately reached out, and turning to the chat and telling them that it's true, that what I was told, passing along that information, was hard. I started shaking. Tears came to my eyes. It was hard, but it was hard for multiple other reasons, and some of it is, in a way, is selfish. Most of you here know everything that was going on with my mom just a couple months ago, then everything with my grandma a few years ago, her passing away on Christmas. Like, it all just came flooding back, and just all the emotions of what he meant to me, then how his family's feeling. It was hard, and Broncos country definitely is, as Karen shared here, the Denver Broncos are not only a state of mind, but a family of friends. And it's true. I mean, we may disagree on how to go about it, but we all have one desire, and that's the Broncos to win. And in a way, that connects all of us. And there were a lot of people that didn't care for Thomas, especially towards the end of his career with his play, but no one can deny the person he was. No one can deny the amount of hearts he touched, and just how great of a person he was being. And now, I don't think we're going to, maybe we will carry this on to a full hour or not. But before we would get out of here, I just kind of want to talk about the upcoming Lions game a little bit, and more so the emotions going into that game. And I hope anybody in the chat who's going to be there, I hope you guys wear 88 in some way, shape, or form, whether you have a jersey or even just one of those shirts that has it, just something for him.
Write it on your damn hand.
Go in with it painted on your face. It's just some way to honor him. And how is this going to impact the team and their performance?
It's hard without going through the roster off the top of my head. There's a handful of players that were with DT in Denver. Notably, Jerry Jeudy was there, or Cortland Sutton was there for a little while. You've got some defensive guys. Alexander Johnson, Justin Simmons was there for a little bit. So I don't necessarily know that many of those guys are going to appreciate that. They will for sure. Everybody knows who Demaryius Thomas was, and they understand the whole situation with him being as great as he was. But to me, I think it's going to come out to I think there's going to be some pretty inspired performances. Garrett Bowles is going to be a guy that you know how emotional he is. He's a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. He's not scared to mince words. I'm looking for him to have a huge game, a really good game. Cortland Sutton, hopefully if we can get Teddy Bridgewater to actually target him, that'd be fun. But he's going to have a big game because he learned most of his high quality route running that he's got. It came from DT and Emmanuel Sanders in his rookie season, because again, like DT, Cortland Sutton was incredibly raw as a route runner coming out of Southern Methodist University. So for him, this is going to be a big game for him. I'm hoping that it's a lot of supercharged, fired up, emotional performances. I really am hoping that. However, it is definitely something that you could watch out for. We we lost one of us. The players have a certain society behind the scenes that people don't necessarily know about. And DT reached out to so many people, not only in the community, outside of the community, and outside of the locker room. Who knows who he maybe crossed paths with in his time on this earth that might have impacted their life in a positive way. And now they have, this could be a letdown game it definitely can. I hope that's not the case. I hope the Broncos go out there and beat the holy hell out of the Lions. But
this, up until last night, I was struggling with who to pick to win and my score prediction, because the Lions coming off a win, I think they'd be a little bit fired up, but the Broncos at the same time, they're going to be coming off that loss to the Chiefs. I think there's going to be a thing for it. Now I think they're going to go and send a message, and I think that they're going to play in honor of Thomas's memory, leave it all out on the field, and I don't think it's close. I think my prediction, and all season long, guys, I've never gave my prediction. I always try to push you guys to go check out the article for it, but I think I had it 31-9 with the Broncos just creaming the Lions. And part of it is, also is the Lions are dealing with so many players that are ill with the flu that's just gone through their locker room. They're missing some key players, but the emotions of it, the emotions in that stadium, like the players, they're going to feel it from the fans. The fans are going to feel it from the players. And for lack of a better way to put it, I think we're going to end up seeing magic on Sunday during the game.
Just going back to the score predictions, and I hope we do see magic. I didn't actually give a score prediction this week. I wrote 3 sentences, and I'll quote them to you right now. I have very little words for this game coming up on Sunday. It doesn't matter. Rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. That's all. Broncos win. That was my prediction for this game. Broncos win. Now, James Campbell, our good friend, also another member of the staff at milehighhuddle.com. Make sure you guys get at him on Twitter as well. He in our Slack channel for where we do all of our game predictions and stuff like that, he wrote out a long and thoughtful message. Again, guys, go check it out at milehighhuddle.com. The roundtable piece is up and has been live since about 2:00 this afternoon. So please go check that out. Check out all of our staff predictions and everything. But James, at the end of it, has said, this one's for DT. And he actually picked the Broncos to win 88-0. That put a smile on my face. It really did. 88-0 was just perfect. He actually gave a real score prediction. I won't spoil that. Go check that out at milehighhuddle.com. But and guys, after this, I'm hoping, if I can pull myself together, I'm hoping to do the top 5 moments that I had for Demaryius Thomas, the ones that I read off to you guys tonight. I'm going to put that in a written article form. Hopefully that will be up tomorrow morning, so long as I can actually get it done tonight. But as far as the Lions game is concerned, after hearing the news last night, I never thought about it. I didn't know anything about the Lions and their 30 people on injured reserve, right, or the injury list right now, all the flu that's going. I didn't care. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, at least not this week. To me, it doesn't matter. There's bigger things at play than a football game right now.
There's always those moments throughout. Even Broncos history. Darren Williams, Kenny McKinley, right?
Say what now?
Kenny McKinley, he was another receiver a few years back.
Yep.
Past. There's always these moments, either in our personal lives or in football lives. Sean Taylor, like going on, Junior Seau. There's all these moments that just should be always remembered. That football is just football. It's just a game.
Yeah.
There's things bigger than it. Your family's bigger than it. And treating other people with kindness is bigger than
it. Jordan jumping in here, showing off the hashtag. Love Bebe. That was his nickname. BEYBEY Bebe. DT. I'll always remember him for his bright smile and being a stand-up guy and never a diva. This hurts. It does hurt. And that's something else that Erick, you spoke about it earlier, is his candor with the media. He was never scared and never shy to go up and answer all of your questions as candidly as possible. In fact, I think Von Miller kind of took that away from DT. Honestly, I don't know. I'd have to ask Von if I ever get the opportunity to. What did you learn from Demaryius Thomas and everything like that? But over the last year and a half or so, Von Miller in his press conferences got a lot more candid with his answers and not one-word answers and stuff like that. DT would give 3-minute answers to a simple question about just a random happenstance. You ask him how he's doing today, he's going to literally give you the story of his life in 3 minutes. It's amazing candor, the smile that lit up the room, everything about him, man. Zackler jumping in here, Rip 88, Broncos versus Saints 2016, underrated one-hander by DT was one of my favorite ones. That's a great catch, too. Oh, man, it was such a good catch.
We could comb through his whole career and probably find a few hundred catches that were just great, amazing plays, because that's a lot of what his career was. And it's just
how about the drop game? Let's talk about the drop game. You know exactly what I'm talking about. 2015 CJ Anderson walk off touchdown in the snow against the Patriots. He had like 6 drops in that game alone. It was terrible. It was the worst performance we've ever seen. But down the stretch, he made 2 huge catches, one down the right sideline that ended up forcing I think that was in overtime. He made that huge, gigantic catch that no one ever wants to talk about, because 2 plays later, CJ Anderson's running 54 yards for the game-winning score. Everyone remembers CJ Anderson, but they forget Brock Osweiler, who had a bad game as well, hit DT after he had 5 or 6 drops in that game for like 25 yards on a 3rd down that extended the drive and put the Broncos in the position to score. Like, it was such a huge play that no one remembers.
Yeah. And I mean, he had many of those. And one thing with him is talking about it is that drop game. He kept playing. He didn't let the drops take over. He didn't sit there and get down or anything. He just kept going. And going back to talking about how great of a person he was and not being a diva, I remember after he was traded, I'm not going to name the site. I'm not going to name who wrote it or anything. I remember somebody did a thing trying to paint him as some major diva, and that's why he was traded. And that angered me at the time, and just thinking about it now angers me, because if there was anybody that was the farthest thing from a diva, it was Thomas. It was whatever for the team. He didn't care. He wanted the team to win. He wanted the team to be successful, and he would do whatever is needed. Games that he had 3 catches for 13 yards or however many yards, or the 10 target, 7 catch, 150 yard games. He didn't care as long as the team won. He wasn't one that was going to be, throw me the ball no matter what.
Yep.
And trying to paint him out to be a diva after he was traded was just so frustrating. And remembering that somebody tried to smear his name, I guess, is just frustrating.
Spencer coming in here with one of the reasons why I fell in love with DT. That man blocked his ass off also nonstop. He did. 6'3", 225, super strong. Dude ran 4.38, by the way. If you guys don't understand, 6'3", 225, and you run 4.38 seconds in a 40-yard dash, that's just ungodly height, weight, speed combination. But
for comparison, that'd be like Lance running a 6-second 40.
Ooh, that's rough, dude. I ran 4.6 in high school. Leave me alone. That was a long time ago, though. So 6 seconds is probably about right. But no, DT was arguably one of the best blocking wide receivers I think I've ever watched. As far as a talent coming out of Georgia Tech, as far as in the NFL as well. Rod Smith was up there too. Ed McCaffrey, just to name some Broncos specific guys. Hines Ward is another guy you want to throw in there in that conversation, but he was never scared to make the play, make the play, not a play, make the right play, do what was asked of him. To help the team win. And if it wasn't him catching the football, like Erick said, it was him making a key block down the field, digging out a safety in a 2-high shell on a backside zone stretch. That's what he was. Marlon Shorty jumping in here, feeling a mile-high pain. Yeah, it's been a pretty mile-high pain. Big stars there as well. Thank you. But guys, I think let me do these matters of business, Scott. I think we're going to wrap it up here. I'll take the controls here, and thank you. I appreciate you, Scott, for all your help tonight. Guys, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at Sanderson MHH, for Erick at Erick Trickel. I want more of your stories. I know it's like cliche of me to say that, but I want to know. Like, DT touched me in a way that that sounds weird, but DT was a big guiding force in my life, and I want to hear any of your good stories, the happy stories, the sad stories, anything you have about your memories of Demaryius Thomas. And I would really appreciate that. Hit me at Sanderson MHH. For Scott, at Scout Kennedy on Twitter as well. Shout out to Scott for running the ones and twos behind the scenes. Guys, while you're at it, make sure you guys are following at, let's see here, at DVDD_pod. That's the Dove Valley Deep Divers podcast account, where you're going to find what we're talking about every single week. Also, guys, at Mile High Huddle, that's where you're going to get instant news and analysis on your Denver Broncos. Breaking news, film breakdowns, opinion articles, my memorial piece for DT coming later tonight or early tomorrow. You're going to find that there at Mile High Huddle. Facebook supporters, make sure you guys go to facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. Click that blue McCutcheon supporter button so you guys can get premium content like the Trickel Zone, like Broncos Book Club and Kelberman's Corner. And also, guys, if you're financially able to do so, huddleuppod.com. Make sure you guys go get your merch. That's where you guys can get one of these State of Being hoodies that I've got here at the Dove Valley Deep Divers hat that Erick's wearing right now. Something from every show, anything to suit your fancy, face mask, coffee cup, hoodie, doesn't matter. Some for the guys, some for the gals, the onesie for your baby, if that's something you're interested into. Huddleuppod.com. That's where you guys are going to get that. And folks, if you're not financially able to do so, we understand. Times are rough right now. It's getting hard. But everybody, every single person on our following should be doing these three things. Subscribe wherever you guys are watching this, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to Mile High Huddle. If you guys see a video on social media or an article, anything like that, like it at least, please. And if you love it, share it. Get it in front of as many Broncos fans as possible, because that's the most organic way you can help us grow the Mile High Huddle community. And also, I mean, it means a lot to us, because without your guys' support, we couldn't do what we do best, which is cover your Denver Broncos and bring you the best Broncos content on the internet. So with that, guys, Erick, been kind of a rough show. Scott, thank you for bearing with us as we remember Demaryius Thomas. But guys, any last words?
Yeah, I saw this comment earlier and I meant to mention it for it. Somebody asked if they're going to do something to honor him. The players are, and they're all going to have 88 on the back of their helmets, 88 decal. There's that's what they're going to be doing for him.
Yeah, there's going to be a video tribute as well. And like I said earlier, it's probably going to be the same one that they had for him at the week 3 game, where they were going to honor him and after his retirement. But guys, I'm going to leave you with this. Make sure you guys go out, and any friends that you have, anybody that might be going through a rough time in their life, anybody you haven't spoken to in a while, loved ones, make sure you call them and check in on them really fast. Make sure you hug your wife, your kids, your significant other. It doesn't matter, because life is fleeting. This is something that we all deal with at certain times. And I know that as far as a celebrity death is, you probably shouldn't take a big issue like I am with this one, but it doesn't matter, guys. Life is fleeting. There are precious moments out there for everybody. Make sure you guys always remember that. Hug your loved ones, and don't ever forget that.
And there's a line from a movie called Pollyanna, older movie, and the preacher is standing up before, and he just yells, "Death comes unexpectedly," and it definitely does. So, as Lance said, make sure you reach out to your loved ones, your family, your friends, and let them know, and just make sure they know.
Yeah. Now with that, guys, you all stay safe and take care. I love you all. I appreciate all of your guys' support. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Root hard for the Broncos. Say a prayer for Demaryius Thomas. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. And as always, go Broncos.
You've been listening to the Huddle Up Podcast. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.